Good day, everyone. Imagine picking up a novel not merely to follow its characters or unravel its plot, but to listen to the wind whispering through its trees, the rivers that nourish its people, and the landscapes that quietly shape human lives and destinies. Now imagine asking sharper questions. What happens when those landscapes are destroyed? What stories emerge when the world faces climate collapse? What happens when nature itself becomes fragile? Welcome to Ecocriticism, a vital and urgent way of reading literature in the age of climate change. It transforms how we understand texts by placing the physical environment at the very center of analysis. In this lecture, we will explore how literature speaks for the earth and how we can learn to listen. What is ecocriticism? Ecocriticism is a branch of literary theory that examines the relationship between literature and the physical environment. Ecocriticism is the study of the relationship between literature and the natural environment, examining how texts represent nature and ecological concerns. It asks fundamental questions. How is nature portrayed as background, as resource, or as a living force? Does literature treat nature as alive and meaningful, or merely as something for human use? How do literary texts reflect, reinforce, or challenge environmental destruction and climate crises? In short, ecocriticism reads literature ecologically. Why does ecocriticism matter today? We live in an era defined by climate change, deforestation, pollution, and species extinction. Literature is not neutral in this crisis. It shapes how societies perceive nature, how they value or devalue the environment, and how they imagine possible futures. Ecocriticism is urgent because it reveals how stories influence public consciousness. Ecocriticism can spark ecological awareness and activism. It reminds us that literature does not merely reflect the world, it can help change it. In an age of planetary emergency, reading ecologically is no longer optional, it is essential. Now, let us discuss historical development of ecocriticism. Ecocriticism emerged as a formal academic field in the late 20th century, gaining momentum in the 1990s. Several key influences shaped its development. The environmental movements of the 1960s and 1970s, including Rachel Carson's Silent Spring. Growing scientific awareness of ecologic crises. Interdisciplinary conversations between literature, ecology, philosophy, and science. A central shift in thinking. Ecocriticism challenges anthropocentrism and promotes ecocentrism. Human-centered worldviews give way to earth-centered perspectives that grant intrinsic value to all life forms. Let us discuss key concepts in ecocriticism. Anthropocentrism versus ecocentrism. Anthropocentrism places humans at the center of value, treating nature as a resource for human benefit. Ecocentrism recognizes that nature has value independent of human needs. Ecocriticism consistently advocates for this perspective. Nature is not mere scenery. It acts as a character shaping emotions, actions, and plots. Literature often depicts wilderness as pure and untouched or as dangerous and chaotic. Is wilderness a real place or a human cultural construct? Ecocriticism highlights how environmental harm disproportionately affects poor, indigenous, and marginalized communities. It also examines how colonialism and capitalism have historically exploited both land and people. Now discuss major theoretical approaches in ecocriticism. Ecocriticism is not monolithic. It includes several influential strands. Deep ecology argues that nature has equal rights to humans. It calls for radical change to restore ecological balance. Ecofeminism links the exploitation of nature with the oppression of women. It critiques patriarchal systems that dominate both environment and women. Postcolonial ecocriticism examines how colonial powers treated land and indigenous peoples as resources. It highlights systems of domination and extraction.
These approaches expand ecocriticism across ethics, gender, and global history.
Let us discuss reading literature through the lens of climate change. When applying ecocriticism, we ask practical questions. How does the text portray environmental destruction? Are there signs of climate anxiety, ecological grief, or loss? Does the work imagine sustainable futures or dystopian collapse? These questions turn every text into an ecological document. Let us discuss case studies in eco-critical analysis. Theory becomes powerful when applied to specific text. Here are case studies spanning centuries and genres. Case study 1: Romantic Nature and Its Limits. Wordsworth, Tintern Abbey. Wordsworth presents nature as a spiritual healer, a moral guide, and a refuge from industrial society. This vision stands in contrast to the rise of industrialization. Eco-critically, the poem celebrates nature's purity but largely ignores nearby environmental damage. Romantic poetry loves nature but often creates an idealized illusion that sidesteps ecological crisis. Case study 2: Nature as Power and Indifference. In Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, a sailor kills an albatross, and nature responds with storms, drought, and suffering. The albatross symbolizes ecological balance. Killing it disrupts harmony.
The poem presents nature as an active, even vengeful force.
It anticipates modern concerns. Human actions trigger environmental consequences. Case study 3: Industrialization and Environmental Loss. The novel Hard Times by Dickens is set in Coketown, a polluted industrial city where factories replace natural landscapes.
Nature is almost entirely absent.
It is replaced by smoke, mechanization, and artificial life. The novel critiques utilitarian capitalism that values profit over both human life and the environment. It serves as an early literary warning about industrial degradation. Case study 4: Postcolonial Ecocriticism. In Things Fall Apart by Achebe, pre-colonial Igbo society exists in sacred balance with forests, rivers, and seasonal cycles. The arrival of colonial power brings exploitation of land and disruption of ecological harmony. Colonialism is revealed as ecological violence, not merely cultural domination. It connects environmental destruction with imperial history and global inequality. Case study 5: Climate Fiction. McCarthy, The Road. McCarthy's novel The Road presents a post-apocalyptic world of ash, dead vegetation, and collapsed ecosystems. Nature is no longer nurturing. The novel dramatizes the end result of ecological collapse. It channels modern fears of global warming and environmental apocalypse. Case study 6: Water, Memory, and Environmental Crisis. The novel, The Hungry Tide by Ghosh, is set in the fragile Sundarbans mangrove ecosystem. Rising tides and storms embody climate instability. Humans are not masters of nature, but vulnerable to its power. The novel highlights environmental justice. Poor communities suffer the most. Case study 7: Human versus non-human life. Melville, Moby Dick. In Melville's Moby Dick, Captain Ahab obsessively hunts the white whale. The whale symbolizes nature's untamable power. Ahab represents human arrogance and domination. The conflict warns that attempts to control nature lead to mutual destruction. Case study 8: Ecofeminism. Atwood, Surfacing. In Surfacing by Atwood, a woman reconnects with wilderness and her identity. Nature and female bodies are both exploited by patriarchal systems. The liberation of women and nature is interconnected. Let us discuss
Literature as environmental activism.
Literature is not passive. It raises awareness and challenges destructive ideologies.
It can challenge consumerism, anthropocentrism, and colonialism and inspire activism.
Every text becomes a form of environmental protest.
While powerful, ecocriticism has limits. We must interrogate it.
Can literature alone change environmental policy?
Does it sometimes romanticize nature and overlook scientific realities?
Is it accessible beyond academic circles? Ecocriticism demands that we question and extend theory.
Ecocriticism teaches us three profound lessons.
To see nature as the central character in every story. To read literature as part of a living planetary ecosystem. To understand that stories shape how we treat the earth.
From harmony to destruction, literature traces humanity's environmental journey. So the next time you open a book, ask, what is the environment saying, and are we listening? If you found this lecture insightful, subscribe to English with Qaiser Sajjad for more in-depth lectures. Like this video, share it with fellow learners, and leave your thoughts in the comments.